Hello, out there in video land. That is an iris pod. I don't know if those actually produce viable seeds or not. Here's the square spiral garden. I thought I'd give everybody an update. My taro plants, what are they called? Elephant ears, are doing pretty well. This guy came back from the dead. I thought he was gone. It's some sort of hibiscus. This was here from Mama Dory's time. It was one of the first plants I found in this garden. I think it was the first plant, actually. And last year, the Asiatic daylily just completely choked it and almost killed it. Apples are doing good. Still have some of the spots from the cedar rust, so I need to spray them again. The Artemisia is done blooming, I guess. And the yarrow is continuing to bloom. I've seen lots of frogs this year in our little pond and around. They love the water dish, the cat's water dish. My favorite, my very favorite. Gods, I love these so much. Just this happy little black-eyed Susan. So subtle, so beautiful. They always cheer me up. Yeah, see, some of my elephant ears are doing really well. Here's my other apple. This one's not showing many spots. The older leaves are showing spots. I understand now that there is a shortage of mugwort, but certainly not in my garden. The mulberry is doing well, and the wormwood. Now here I planted dill, and much of it did not come up, but a few did. I've been on vacation for a week, so my weeding is obviously behind. Giant piece of grass right there. I'm really kind of bummed that the dill didn't do better, but there's, oh well, here's some more. That's good news. We've got some spectacular, look at those little bees flying around. Elderberry flowers this year. It looks just glorious. I love how the flower pods turn purple after the petals fall off. Wild violet's doing well. The peas that I planted around the base are not showing any signs of coming up. And whatever it was I planted there, I think it was onions. Nothing of that came up. There is an onion here that I think was, that might be a wild one. I put a cage around this guy and he still knocked it over. It was just laying on the yard and we can't have that. Here's a success story. Runner beans. I posted a picture of these on my Facebook, on the Facebook for Stone Glade. This is an old greenhouse that lost its cover, and I used it as a shelf unit for a while, and now it's going to be a trellis for my runner beans. I'm very excited. Hazelnuts. Over here we have what appears to be a volunteer tomato I just found. How about that? That was unexpected. The salvia that I transplanted is doing remarkably well. It looked like it had died, just was like, no, I'm not going to live. But now it's just coming back. The bananas, this is the canna banana corner. Bananas are doing well, and the canna both. I'm very excited about that. And this is the bee balm that I transplanted to help protect my service berries. This is a little bit of a wild corner over here. Here's more salvia that survived. Really happy with that. And oh my gosh, look at these flowers. This thrills me so much. I love them. And they're waist high. So, okay, yes, you already know what they look like. This I found is called a paper mulberry. I didn't plant it, and I don't want it to be here. So unfortunately, I've been cutting it back, and it keeps coming back. But yeah, the strawberry transplants, at least half of them survived. That's good news. And I have seen some of the some of my. I know it looks very similar to the dill, but this is asparagus. Asparagus seeds. They succeeded. Little tiny feathery seed heads plants coming up. I'm just delighted. Over here is a gooseberry start that I got from my friend Stephanie. And I've got a cage around it so I don't lose it because it's tiny right now. Same with my raspberry. It died all the way back to the ground. And now it had a cage around it. I removed the cage and then found it had started to come back. These are goldenrod. This one's as tall as I am now. And I love them, and they're good for the bees, so I keep them in the garden. This is the southern side of the garden. Here's my serviceberry, and I guess the birds got to the berries, so I'm not seeing many. Or that looks like a disease. This is the first year it fruited out. Yeah, I think I must have lost them to the birds. It is a native. Well, that makes me sad. I was looking forward to trying those. Grapes are doing crazy good. And we actually have grapes. Last year, I pulled the grapes too early, and they were not edible. Let's see what else is going on here. I keep eating the grape leaves, the baby grape leaves. I'm trying to discourage it from growing over my pathway. I planted some things here that have done nothing. It was my goal this year. Well, here's a canna that came up that I got from my neighbor. But whatever else she gave me has not come up, and that's okay. I think it was just another banana, and I've already got some of those. Golly. These goofy things come up all over my garden. Again, even more flowers. Here's one of my cannas, doing well. Blueberries looking good. Those blueberries not doing so well. I know there are different types of blueberry that can cross-pollinate, and I think it's just mostly that this guy's so much in the shade. So these are essentially weeds, but I love them. I just need to thin them out some. But check this out. Maypops. They're really enjoying growing up over the trellis that I put in here. The cilantro. This is cilantro, gone to seed with a little tiny bug on it. So that's it's called coriander when it goes to seed. I was standing here trying to think of starts with a C, and the cilantro is pronounced one way and coriander is pronounced another. So here's our one successful pepper plant. And then, breaking my heart, both of these peppers died. I don't know why. Strawberries just being strawberries and throwing babies everywhere. The Found a pair of bugs getting ready to eat my cucumbers and squashed them yesterday. No pun intended. Well, it's a cucurbitae, not a squash. I think this is a not a squash. Should be a cucumber, but it feels like squash. I don't know. Lavender is doing pretty well. The French lavender does apparently handle living in Tennessee. It's survived some really damp weather. Now we see if it's going to survive the heat again. Here's its siblings over here. The pokeweed is starting to bloom. It's now taller than I am and looking really good. Last year it had a hard time, and that's a Japanese beetle. Wonder if I could knock that down and stomp on it. No, it flew away. That's a bee. More coriander. Some of the, yep, there's one. Okra is coming up, looking good. This is a corner that does not often produce well, so I'm glad to see it coming up. Arugula is doing nicely, and I harvested some yesterday. It's already coming back really well. So I'm thinking like if I can keep this going, I've got it in partial shade, as you can see. And my intention is to hopefully keep it going all summer. Here's another success story. My flax is doing really well. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? I'm hoping it will continue to grow, and I will be able to harvest seeds and grow it again next year. Obviously only one row of it here means probably not making any cloth from it. And then we're at the center of the garden. My daisies, my little daisies, another favorite of mine. I love those simple petal flowers, I guess. These are the wild daisies that I transplanted against the advice of gardeners who know better. And I just love them so much. And my cinquefoil is also doing okay. Not thriving, but yet. Here's another wormwood that it had all fallen over, and I got this one into a cage. And here's another success story. I got these gladiolus bulbs years ago, about 3 years ago, from the Arbor Day Foundation, and they're starting to burst out, and it just makes me happy. I think I'm going to put beans in here. I had planted some chamomile buttons that did not come up over here, and other herbs. Obviously, we have wild success with these. I can't resist them whenever they come up too. They just make me so happy, and they do make you itch though, let me tell you. And I've got some tansy that volunteered here alongside the rosemary that's doing okay, not great. The rosemary, I don't know if it's just too damp for it. Oh, more weeds. But I just have this one branch that's survived, and it leans over the walkway. Oh, and look, zinnia. Zinnia's coming up. So that's what's going on in the garden. I'm behind on weeding. More zinnias here. But overall, I'm very happy with how the garden is going. And it sure is pretty. Just to look at. Well, thanks for joining me on this updated tour. My goal this year has been to use up all of my seeds. So some of them were very old. Some of my seed packets said used by 2017. It's like, oh, I didn't know I'd had this for 5 years. But the, let me give you another update on the first round of okra that I planted. It's doing pretty nicely. Look at that. Look at that. Okra. And then I've been pulling out a lot of this. This is the Klondike Cosmos that grows hugely tall. So I'm going to have to save I want some of the flowers, but I don't need all of them. And again, more of the grapes. That's the vine that's not doing quite as well. It runs sort of north-south, and the other one runs sort of east-west, and it just seems to like that better. But yeah, it's a beautiful day in the garden, and really, really happy with how things are going. So keep up your good work. I hope that you're enjoying your garden season as well. Tell me what you're doing well with. Here's another wild grape. I'm finding that the wild grape leaves, baby leaves, taste better raw than the domesticated. The domesticated grape leaves are rather leathery. Oh my gosh, I just realized that my rhubarb is hidden. I need to rescue my rhubarb. Rhubarb rescue. It's up close to the house, so it's in shade for the afternoon. And here we are back at the beginning, looking at iris seed pods, wondering if they're valid. Okay, y'all.